Welcome to day 12, it's Micah here, and today I'm going to be showing you the two different user modes on the push as well as all your push user preferences. We will be working with the user button here on the push. If you push it once, you put your push to sleep. Pushing it again wakes it up. If you push and hold user, then you access your user preferences as well as your two user workflows, clip and scene. So first you see your pad threshold. Pad threshold sets the softest playing force that will trigger notes. More force is required if the pad threshold is high because the push will need a higher amount of push force before it triggers the note. If your threshold is too low, pads may accidentally trigger and stick, so be careful. Next to pad threshold, you've got your velocity curve. The velocity curve determines how sensitive the pads are when hit with various amounts of force. This is different to the pad threshold. Let me explain. I have some graphs, complements of the user manual to show you how they work. Striking force is shown on the horizontal axis and note velocity on the vertical axis. So you can have a linear relationship, which means the harder you push, the higher the note velocity. Simple. But you can also choose one of the various logarithmic curves, which basically means that you could push a little bit harder and get a much higher velocity, or vice versa. The first example shows you why lighter playing styles may benefit from higher log values, because you don't need to push as hard to get a spike in your velocity. I won't bore you with the maths, although do let me know if you want a separate video on this. My advice in the meantime is to try the different velocity curves out and see what feels and sounds better to you. You may be Batman and push really hard, or you may be Barbie and are delicate, like me. Now to workflow modes. By default, your push is set to scene workflow, and this is how you change it to clip workflow. I'll talk about the difference later in this video. And then after that, you've got your aftertouch threshold. Aftertouch, as it should say, refers to the amount of force you exert on a push pad after you've already triggered the note, but before you've taken your finger off it. So the aftertouch threshold sets the lowest incoming aftertouch value that the push will register, and as a result also determines at what ratio it maps your aftertouch value to velocity. Again, if you want graphs explaining this in more detail, I'd be happy to get my geek on. So whether you want to use scene or clip workflow depends on your personal preference and how you want to use the push. The differences lie in your session view, particularly with your new duplicate and up-down push commands. So if I go into session view by pushing session, I can see my clips. I'm in clip workflow now, and here, if I have this clip duplicated, Ableton will keep playing the old scene, as well as the new duplicated clip, which is now on a new track. Let's undo and go do the same thing in scene workflow. In scene workflow, when I push duplicate, it duplicates the whole scene onto a new scene. Let's look at the new command. In clip workflow, pushing new will create a new clip in the next scene whilst playing all the other track's old clips. You can't see the new clip because it's empty, but if you begin recording, it'll record onto this new empty clip. Click, tick, tick, tick. So if I go to note mode and just record, you can see when back in session view that it recorded to this new clip without having changed anything in the previous scene. However, in scene workflow, when I have a particular scene playing and I hit new, then it creates a whole new scene with one new empty clip like in clip flow, as well as transferring the other clips from the previous tracks down. And finally, let's talk about these arrows. If I'm in clip workflow, the up and down arrows move up or down by a single scene, and playback of the newly selected track's clip in the new scene begins seamlessly. Clips in the other tracks are not affected. Whereas in scene workflow, the up and down arrows move up or down by a single scene, but the playback of all the clips in the new scene begins seamlessly. So instead of just having the new track's clip play, it triggers all the new clips. Always, always, always make sure you're in the right workflow mode before you go out and perform. Seriously. And tomorrow is day 13, and I'm going to be showing you something super cool on the push that is not in the Ableton manual. So don't miss that surprise. Stay tuned and see you soon. You know what to do.